Good evening. I know it's been a while since I did an Ask a Rabbi Wednesday. It's a question that I received quite recently from a friend of mine, Hildeberto Yitzchok, who sends me questions quite often. He asks if the book of Eov, the book of Job, was written in the Babylonian exile, who wrote it? So the answer I gave is that there's various opinions in the Gemara and Bava Basra, but most people say it was written much earlier by Moses, by Moshe Rabbeinu. There are midrashim that say that Job lived during the time when Pharaoh was deciding to enslave the Hebrews. But there are many other opinions. The Targum says that his wife's name was Dinah, so it's often assumed that he was actually the son-in-law of Yaakov Avinu, of Jacob, that he was married to Dinah, and the different opinions. So, Elu ve'elu, we have all different approaches. But there is an opinion that he lived during the Babylonian exile. There is a Job mentioned in the book of Ezekiel, which would indicate something like this. There's different opinions, but whether he even existed at all or was just an allegory, all kinds of different opinions. But the one that's generally accepted is that the authorship was from Moses. That's the traditional approach, and even the secular, Bible critics tend to say that lahavdil, and we repudiate most of the things that these Bible critics say, of course. But the interesting thing is that when it comes to the book of Job, is that they say it's a very, very old book, in general. So if that's the case, so then it's old. So maybe they wouldn't say it's from the time of Moses, but that's certainly what one of the possibilities that we believe. It's not. There's no dogma around this, around when Job was written, who wrote it, because there are so many different opinions, and there's different opinions, so it is possible that it was written in the time of Babylonian exile. It's possible it was written earlier. All these different things are possible. The other books of the Bible, we have more dogmatic approaches to their authorship and the time when they were written, when God delivered them. That the 5 books of Moses were indeed given by God letter by letter to Moses. That's something that is, I would say, a basic concept of orthodoxy. The other books of the Bible, there's much more room as to their authorship and so forth, but in general, still, we accept the traditional authorships of all these books. Not necessarily in a dogmatic sense, but they're accepted. Job is different because there is various opinions as to when Job was written, who wrote it, and so forth, whether we even know who wrote it, and so forth. And so it's quite a different type of book. So that's my answer. That really can come into a whole other question. I recently received emails from someone else who was questioning different things about the Bible. He had a very clear agenda, but we can perhaps, I'm debating whether or not I wanted to address that in the video. his agenda was to discredit the Bible because that's what his religion teaches, that the Bible was corrupted or so forth. And he brings all these different things that he's trying to bring for proofs of this, and yet we have answers to all those things for a long time that predate his religion. So there's nothing really to discuss there. It's quite vapid and empty, and pretty wild, these claims. So it's really not even worth arguing with. But so that is the answer. All right, thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time, God willing.